Well, I'd like to thank Greg, Larry, Diane, and everybody for this invitation. I don't know what I did to help kick off this plenary session, whether that's did something right or wrong, but it's a great honor to come and speak with you all today. Obviously, it's sort of apropos that you all are here today, right when one of the biggest floods of recent memory is occurring, and I think we note these events because of the really large ones, like the ones that we're dealing with at this very moment. But I just sort of was thinking over my travels over the last few weeks, and 2 weeks ago I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and it was May 3rd, and they were celebrating their recovery from a year ago from that flood in Nashville, and the progress they had made in putting that city back together and how that city had come together in a time of need. And I was with someone that night, actually, from Rhode Island, who reminded her that it was a year ago, that same event that had flooded her out in Rhode Island, and she was still in the midst of a home renovation project where she was moving her bedroom out of her basement to her second floor as a result of the flooding they got in Rhode Island. And so these events, they touch all of our lives at some point, and I think this work that we do to sort of think long-term, as the mayor said, is critical. So, let me see if I can figure out this. As Greg said, I work for the Nature Conservancy. I think hopefully most of you know who we are, but we're an environmental organization. Our mission is to protect the plants, animals, and natural communities of Earth by protecting the lands and water on which they need to survive. We work in all 50 states. We work in 30 countries around the world. And we are a science-based organization, non-confrontational by design, and we work collaboratively with partners to achieve our goals. I'm really glad to be able to come here and talk about partnerships, because that's key to how we do our work, and even more important as we think about the future, how we go forward. Our mission may be focused on nature and protecting biodiversity, but we have come to realize over time that we really can't do that without really working on the issues, the water issues or the land issues of people, and how we go about our daily lives, how we grow our food, how our economy works. And if we don't sort of build the environment into those decisions, we're never going to sort of achieve our goal of having a healthy environment as well as healthy communities. So really what that's done over 50 years, we started as a land trust, buying land, but you quickly realize that that's not enough. You can buy a forest in the Adirondacks, but if you're worried about if you all of a sudden understand that acid rain is going to make that forest not what you think it was going to be, you realize that maybe you do have to work on air issues after all, even though that was the furthest thing from what we thought we might have to do. And so we've really now come to understand that this goal of achieving multiple benefits, having projects that at the same time that they protect the environment, provide for agriculture, provide for the economy, provide for our social needs, is the way that we all need to do our work. And I guess that's what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today, and give you a couple of examples of projects that we're working on that I think exemplify that approach of multiple benefits and the partnerships that are involved in developing it, because those solutions cannot come from any one organization. By definition, if we're going to achieve multiple benefits, we need to be working with partners to do that. So just to give you a little bit of the numbers and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Why do we care? Well, our freshwater resources in the U.S. are really in trouble. 70% of the mussels, 50% of the crayfish, and 40% of all fish species are imperiled at this point. And there's not any one threat, so I call it's the death of 1,000 cuts. It's a little bit of everything that we're doing. So even though we've made great progress in some regards, overall we're still seeing a decline. You think that would be daunting enough, but as you think about our population in the world, right now we're at 6.5 billion people. By 2050, we're going to be at 9 billion people. And how do we feed those people? The United States plays a significant role in feeding the world, not just ourselves. So as you can see, as we meet these future needs, our demands on our lands and our water are getting greater, not less. At the same time, we're trying to achieve our environmental goals. And economically, we know the struggles that we're facing both nationally, but in the flood issues, we know the National Flood Insurance Program is $17.5 billion in debt. We know that we spend almost $4 billion a year on crop insurance. These are major economic costs that our nation face on a yearly basis, and how we manage those in a way that are sustainable, the environment, our economy, and people is critical. So we face some big challenges, but like I said, rather than taking them on separately, we really need to focus on trying to achieve the multiple benefits flood risk reduction, conservation, communities, agriculture. So let me get on to two examples that I wanted to focus on, and I've already talked through the threats here, but the first one I'm going to talk about is the Green River here in Kentucky, where we've been working for many, many years in close partnership with the Louisville District of the Army Corps and with local partners to protect and restore this river. Our main focus on that river our main focus on our partnership with the Corps is really looking at their infrastructure. The Army Corps owns a number of dams on the Green River, flood control dams, and used for other purposes such as recreation. And we work closely with them on the operations of those dams because we understood that some of the ways they were operating those dams, particularly in the fall, were detrimental to the mussels and fish in that resource. The Green River is a globally renowned river for its biodiversity. It has 150 species of fish, 70 species of mussels. It's really just an unbelievably beautiful place that has high value for its for the resources and for the people who live there. So we entered in a partnership with the Army Corps to work on rivers around the country, but including the Green River, on the operations of their dams. And we worked with them very specifically on the needs of that river and how they could modify their operations. And in 2006, they officially changed their operation plans in a way that both restored the flows more naturally in the fall to protect biodiversity, but also had another benefit of extending the recreational season in that reservoir for 6 weeks, so that the boating and fishing season is 6 weeks longer. And that's because they could release the water more slowly to meet the environmental needs while also meeting some of the social needs, some of those multiple benefits that I was talking about. But that's not the only work that we did with that river. We also worked with the local farming community to protect some of the lands, and the local state agencies to protect some of the lands along the river, some of the important riparian areas, some of that were in natural conditions and some that were in agriculture, to restore them. And we were successful in working with the state and getting a $100 million USDA CREP program to focus on that area. And over time, we were able to, with willing partners, protect land over 100,000 acres of riparian and river lands, to restore them to more natural conditions in some cases, allow them to continue to do agriculture in others, but really start building, as you can see, in a mosaic of protection for that river to achieve those multiple benefits. So here we are working on both the infrastructure piece of it in a way that's sustainable, the land piece of it that's sustainable for people as well, and really to achieve these benefits. And it really could not happen without all the partnerships, too many to mention, on both the implementation of that program and now with the local and universities from around the Midwest on the monitoring of those programs to understand whether we're actually achieving our results, going back and adaptively managing and continuing to focus our work. So I think it's a great example of our ability to work not only in one place, but this work in the Green River actually led to a national partnership we now have with the Army Corps. I showed you that map. We're now in 8 river basins around the country, and we're trying to actually make this the way they operate all of their dams, to look at them, understand the environmental needs, and incorporate those needs into how they go about their business.